after a 3-1 win at home against Chelsea. City moved back into the top four, and Pep Guardiola's squad is hitting a decent run of form here in the Premier League, unbeaten now in their last 6 EPL matches with 4 wins and 2 draws in that span. Welcome into our studios, Nigel Rio-Coker, Ali Trost-Martin, here to break it all down. And Nige, what a game that was. What was your reaction to how it all played out?
Oh, what a fantastic game of football. Both teams really going for it. Chances galore. Both teams being guilty of not being clinical early on in that game, but the game grew and tactics and formation, tactics changed and approach from Manchester City changed, but what a fantastic game of football we just saw.
And a big response from City, who went down through an early goal, for Chelsea. And Nige, how did you see City really grow back into this game to come away with a 3-1 win?
Well, it was vital for City to get the win. I think confidence has been low. They didn't start well. The first 20 minutes or so was very difficult for Manchester City, but they grew into that game. You know, even going 1-0 down, you look at the high-risk line that Chelsea play, and Manchester City adapted. And as the game went on with getting the goals, you'd have to say that they grew into showing us signs of the old Manchester City.
Okay, so are Manchester City back? Is this a team that you believe will finish in the top 4?
It's a step in the right direction, definitely. I think this game really did show that, you know, Erling Haaland getting a goal as well as an assist for Phil Foden's effort. I saw Manchester City that brought back memories of the old Manchester City, the standards that was set. Still a few little glimpses, a little moments of lapse of concentration defensively that could be a problem. But against a team like Chelsea, a team that they need to get a result against, a team that they look at themselves to be in the same kind of a league or category, they needed to get this win massively, and it's a big confidence boost when it comes against a win against Chelsea. Especially
when you consider the fact that City midweek suffered that stunning loss to PSG, and now they've got a must-win game coming up on Wednesday on Matchday 8 against Club Brugge if they want their dreams of continuing on in Champions League football to stay alive. So how much confidence do you think that this victory gives Pep Guardiola and his squad going into this midweek matchup? It should give him a lot of confidence.
And again, the way you got to look at it is PSG, they took a 2-0 lead and basically crumbled. So from today's perspective, it's coming back from 1-0 down and winning convincingly 3-1. There's a lot of confidence that needs to be taken from there, but they're still a work in progress. But again, they show glimpses of what they're capable of doing. I think that's the main thing, and it breeds a lot of confidence, and it doesn't get any easier in the Premier League because after another tough European tie, their next opponent is Arsenal. And Arsenal obviously need to be winning games as well to keep pressure on Liverpool. So it only gets more entertaining and more exciting for us as football fans.
Do you think that what you saw today from Man City is a one-off from Pep, or is there something sustainable here that they can use to really make a push the rest of the way?
I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a building process. But when you look at it, and from today's perspective, well, from Chelsea's side of things, it wasn't so long ago that we had the conversation about Chelsea. Could they be pushing for a Premier League title? Are they exceeding expectation? Yes, they were. But today, they showed the questions that people always had about Chelsea for a Premier League title push. I talk about the youthfulness of their team, their inexperience. That was shown today. They had periods in the first 20 minutes of that game where they could have put that game to bed. They could have really destroyed Manchester City and take the chances, and we could be having a conversation about a complete different result. But the youthfulness was shown today in their approach, their naivety not to change. They played such a high-risk back line that eventually City started to exploit with better timed runs, long balls in behind. But the third man run and the timing was perfect, and it created a lot of chances for Manchester City. Simple but effective. And also, we talk about the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper come and made an absolute howler of a mistake. And those are the areas that people have said about Chelsea of why they will not be able to compete with a Liverpool or an Arsenal, because still goalkeeping-wise, they're not good enough. Defensively, they're still very questionable. And they showed all of that today.
Speaking of howlers, by the way, one of Manchester City's new signings, Khusanov, the young center back, made his debut, and he also made a massive mistake, which set up the first goal early on for Chelsea. Nige, how would you grade his performance and what you saw from Khusanov today?
I'm not going to give him too much of a tough time. He's a young lad, 20 years old, Uzbekistani, first time in the Premier League. And welcome to the Premier League, young man. It's a baptism of fire. You go and play against Chelsea. This is what you dream of. He'll learn a lot more from this experience. He'll learn and he'll grow. People will be surprised that he went straight into this Manchester City team with the likes of Rico Lewis on the bench and John Stones. Pep Guardiola gave him his Premier League debut, and it was a tough time for the young lad, but credit to him, he grew into it. You felt sorry for him, but at the end of the day, this is what you dream about. And again, it just shows the naivety of Chelsea because they didn't take full advantage because he was having a tough time. And you felt from a tactics point of view that Chelsea should have continued to pick on him, so to speak, because he hasn't started well. He looked nervous, giving a pass away, but they didn't. They changed away from that. And I think he's going to learn and grow and become stronger and a better player from this experience.
Yeah, early on in that game, Chelsea really could have gone ahead by 2 or maybe even 3 goals to nil. Another player that made their debut for Manchester City was Omar Marmoush, who did find the back of the net, but it was called for offside. How would you grade the performance from Marmoush today?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic start for Marmoush. If we're doing it out of 10, I'll probably give him an 8. He's a bright spark for this Manchester City, something that they needed in attacking sense. We only saw glimpses. Seen Omar Marmoush for his time at Frankfurt, even in the Europa League, and what he's doing in what he was doing in the Bundesliga. Now he's in the Premier League. You can see why he's so highly regarded, and so many other clubs were in for this young man. But he's an absolute talent, something different, and he seems to have re-energized the attacking third for Manchester City, and he's going to be turning out to be a great signing for them.
Okay, so you believe that Manchester City will finish in the top 4. Where do you think they land when all is said and done?
Still a long way to go. Still some building blocks. We still look at them vulnerable defensively. I do see them finishing in the top 4. I think the problem for Chelsea now will be more of a worry. Will Chelsea finish in the top 4 because of what we saw today and how naive it is? You talk about teams like Bournemouth having a sensational run of form of games right now and looking like a complete side. Aston Villa can beat anyone on their day. Brighton had a shock loss today to Everton. Yeah. There's a lot of competition for that top 4 places, but I would say definitely Manchester City will finish in the top 4. I think there's a bigger worry for Chelsea in what we've seen recently now, and I think it's starting to become a bit more of a reality check of where their season is. Yeah,
Chelsea really starting to slide. They had that stretch where they were unbeaten in 12, 9 wins in that span of games, and then now, they have just 2 wins in their last 7 with 3 losses and 2 draws across those games. And what's also been interesting, Nige, is how Chelsea have performed against the teams above them in the table. When you look at how they've done against the top 4, lost to Liverpool, draw with Arsenal, draw with Nottingham Forest, lost to Manchester City on 2 different occasions this season. And as far as Newcastle, that is one team that they did get a win against. But you got to be able to go out and get more points and better results against the teams ahead of you if you want to be in that mix.
Well, that's the teams that Chelsea have to compete with. They have to compete with the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool and get those results. But when you look at the Chelsea side right now, we talk about just the game today, the performance, naivety, youthfulness. We question the goalkeeper. And you look at the players that they're being linked with for this January window. You talk about Garnacho. I don't feel that Garnacho is a player that Chelsea need right now. I think what they need to do is strengthen defensively. Yes, we know they've just got Chalobah back, but I still feel they need a leader of a centre-back. They definitely need a new goalkeeper. And for me, defensively is where they need to recruit and get solid. I think attacking-wise, they've got enough options. Maybe Maresca's now starting to have a bit more of a harder time of keeping all these players with their egos happy. Neto came on today. We still didn't even see João Felix, how much of a talented player he is. And Cuckoo came on, and he's been linked with maybe a move outside of Chelsea. So I don't see the attacking side as a problem. And again, Nicholas Jackson, he's frustrating. He showed us what he's capable of in a run early on in this season, that he's capable of doing it. But today he was pretty much nearly non-existent. Could have scored. Better pass from Cole Palmer maybe, and then they didn't make good of that situation. And when you talk about teams who want to win Premier League titles, who know what's at stake, they're a lot more ruthless in those type of situations there.
Back to the drawing board for Chelsea and for Manchester City. They'll hope that this win today will give them a big boost heading into a must-win match on Matchday 8 in the Champions League midweek.